Let's dive right into this explainer. Look, right now, there is an invisible, automated revolution literally tearing through the global back office industry as we speak. Think about it for a second. Every single time you call a customer service line or dispute a charge on your credit card or maybe ask a company for tech support, there's a really high probability your call is routed across the globe to a real human being, probably working the night shift. But right now, the foundation of that massive global workforce is facing a complete seismic shift. So let's explore exactly how this is completely rewriting the future of work. Here's how we're going to break it all down today. We'll start with the global back office, then meet your AI colleague, move into the loop of redundancy, talk about upskilling for empathy, and finally wrap up with the pivot to physical. We're skipping the usual warm-ups today because there was a stark warning recently echoing out of Silicon Valley. Quote, "My successor will be a bot." When industry leaders, including the creator of ChatGPT himself, are openly suggesting their own successors will be an AI, well, you can imagine the sheer panic that creates for an entry-level customer service agent or a junior coder. The anxiety out there is totally palpable, and it is completely rewriting the rules of global employment.
All right, part one, the global back office. It really is a massive economic force.
We really need to understand the sheer scale of the outsourcing engine that we completely take for granted. This isn't just some niche sector. It is the absolute backbone of the modern globalized economy. And it's genuinely fascinating to trace this back. Western companies first rushed to India in the late 90s just to fix the Y2K bug. Remember that panic? Millions of lines of early computer code had to be checked manually. It required massive, repetitive human labor. But the companies ended up staying for the incredible cost savings. Eventually, they expanded to the Philippines to tap into its natively English-speaking population and just really strong cultural adaptability. But now, here we are, in the generative AI era of the 2020s. And the very foundation of why these massive hubs were built in the first place is being fundamentally challenged. $40 billion. That represents the staggering annual revenue generated by the Philippines Business Process Outsourcing, or BPO sector alone. To put that into perspective, that translates to almost 10% of their entire national GDP. We're not talking about a little side hustle here. This is a foundational pillar of their national economy. We're talking about employing around 2 million workers who rely on these wages for absolutely everything, from buying homes to supporting their extended families. Moving over to India, an absolutely incredible 6 million workers fuel this exact same tech and back office engine. And what's crucial to understand here is the trickle-down effect. These workers are the ones driving local real estate, they're buying cars, and they're fueling everyday retail consumption in major hubs like Bengaluru. So a disruption to these jobs doesn't just hurt the tech sector. It lands an immediate, severe blow to the wider local economy. And with India capturing up to 55% of the global market and the Philippines pulling in up to 17%, these two nations stand directly in the firing line. Reports from the IMF and Bloomberg Intelligence have explicitly flagged this specific industry as being among the most at risk of being completely replaced by artificial intelligence. Which brings us to part two. Meet your AI colleague and the rise of the chatbot. Let's just examine the pure business logic driving this massive technological shift. Consider a human worker, right? Pulling a grueling graveyard shift in Manila, maybe eating heavy meals at midnight just to stay awake for their American clients. Humans get stressed. They have families to feed. They need salaries to send their kids to school. Now consider Lisa, the AI chatbot. Lisa never gets irritated by an angry customer. She literally never needs a coffee break. She works 24/7, 365 days a year, and can scale instantly to handle thousands of simultaneous calls. For a corporation looking strictly at the bottom line, the choice becomes terrifyingly easy. Okay, moving to section 3, the loop of redundancy. We really have to talk about the incredibly cruel irony of how these AI systems were actually built in the first place. You see, the entire outsourcing industry was built on repetition. This means that 20 years of recorded human labor literally served as the training manual for the AI that is now taking those jobs. Think about it. Every time an agent followed a script, the voice quality, the intonation, the exact resolution steps, it was all recorded and fed into these systems. Basically, the better a human did their job, the better the AI was trained to replace them. And the speed of this technology is, frankly, terrifying. Take a recent contest held in Bangalore. The task was to build a website for a luxury homestay. The AI asked a few clarifying questions and almost completely built out the software in under 8 minutes.
Meanwhile, a highly experienced human programmer, someone who'd been coding since age 12, took over 14 minutes to do the same thing. The old business model of taking advantage of cheap human labor simply cannot compete with instant, practically free AI generation. There's just no contest anymore.
But the human toll behind these metrics is absolutely heartbreaking. Imagine waking up to an email at 5 a.m. that just bluntly states, your resources are no longer needed due to AI. That was the reality for Ravi, a junior coder in Bangalore. He was a star performer, recently got a raise, and was the sole breadwinner trying to save up for his sister's marriage. Suddenly, he's told he's obsolete. And then there's Ivan from the Philippines. He was a quality analyst. His actual job was to correct the AI's early errors. But once Ivan and his team helped the AI reach near perfection, all 70 of them were replaced by the exact system they perfected.
And look, Ravi and Ivan are not isolated cases here. We are seeing catastrophic drops across the board. Major tech giants are making historic moves. TCS executed a 12,000 job cut, the largest in its entire history. And India's top IT firms added a net of only 17 employees in the first 9 months of the recent fiscal year. Actually, let me repeat that. Just 17. That is a staggering drop from the tens of thousands they used to hire.
All right, let's pivot a bit in Section 4, upskilling for empathy.
So, despite the mass layoffs, a really unexpected trend emerged. In 2025, India actually added over 120,000 new jobs to the sector, and the Philippines added over 80,000. Now, how is that even possible given everything we just talked about? Well, organizations are finding that, at least right now, AI functions a lot better as an augmenting tool rather than a total replacement. It's changing the very nature of the work being done. You see, this growth requires workers to aggressively upskill into areas that AI completely fails at. A chatbot simply cannot sense the tension in a client's voice when they are about to withdraw a multi-million-dollar contract. It totally lacks the cultural intelligence to navigate highly sensitive human disputes. Furthermore, major companies still do not trust automated systems entirely with their secure, private data. Humans must absolutely remain in the loop to provide empathy, strategy, and security.
However, there is a pretty sobering catch here. To survive, the industry is shifting away from repetitive outsourcing and towards high-value global capability centers, or GCCs. These centers hire senior talent to handle complex finance and intellectual property. But, and it's a massive but, only 10 to 30% of the currently displaced traditional workforce will likely be absorbed into these higher-tier roles.
So what about everyone else? That brings us to Section 5, the pivot to physical. What actually happens to the millions of workers who simply cannot upskill fast enough into complex finance or intellectual property? Well, we're witnessing a complete reversal of the ultimate career goal. For decades, a white-collar tech job in an air-conditioned office, that was the absolute dream. Today, writing a digital line of code is instantly automatable. Meanwhile, physical labor is safe. Why? Because fine motor skills and spatial awareness require complex, insanely expensive robotics that AI just cannot easily replicate in the real world yet. The factory floor has suddenly become the safe haven from AI. So for many workers, survival means completely abandoning tech and traditional IT roles. They are shifting their mindsets toward emerging physical jobs and heavy industry. A prime example of this is the immense investment flowing right now into India's booming semiconductor sector. The absolute safest jobs of the near future might actually rely heavily on hands-on, physical manufacturing skills rather than digital ones.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought. We've seen how the world's back-office workers accidentally coded their own replacements simply by doing their jobs perfectly. Every email you type, every workflow you optimize, every single digital footprint you leave behind is data. If the highly skilled tech workers of India and the customer service experts of the Philippines are already facing their AI successors, the most vital question isn't whether automation is coming. It's this: how long until it learns to do exactly what you do? I highly recommend reflecting on how you can start moving your own skills up the value chain today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.